Hey everyone, James Azar here with the CyberHub Podcast. Happy Monday, good morning. It's June 1st, 2020. We're right around the corner from summer. Hopefully things cool down across the globe with the COVID-19 crisis, as well as some of the riots that are going on in the US. Our heart here at CyberHub Podcast goes to the family of Mr. Floyd and his friends and family for that tragedy that happened in Minnesota last week. Definitely inexcusable. I've spoken to several law enforcement people who I know personally who've said there's just no justification for it, and absolutely there's none for that as well. With that being said, let's get into today's June 1st, 2020 Practitioner Brief. We'll get right into it today. So we have a bunch of patches to talk about. First one coming from VMware that's releasing a security update for multiple products. Among those is the VMware ESXi, the VMware Workstation Pro and Player, the VMware Fusion Pro and Fusion, the VMware Remote Console for Mac, and the VMware Horizon Client for Mac. This is a critical patch that needs to be done. Link can be found at CyberHub Podcast on our Practitioner Brief. You can get it there. You can sign up, get this directly in your email here as well, like you'd get every single morning. Another patch and vulnerability has to do around Cisco products and the SaltStack framework vulnerabilities. So on April 29th, we all remember, it seems so long ago, yet not. The Salt Open Core team notified their community about two different CVEs that we reported on here on the CyberHub Podcast. First one being CVE 2020-11651, the authentication bypass vulnerability, and CVE 2020-11652, the directory traversal vulnerability. The Cisco Modeling Lab Corp Edition and Cisco Virtual Internet Routing Lab Personal Edition incorporate a version of SaltStack that is running the Saltmaster service that's affected by these vulnerabilities. Cisco has released a software update. There's a bunch of different updates for this. There's also Cisco that maintains that several of their viral-PE releases have been compromised due to this specific vulnerability. So you can actually get a lot more information on our PDF that can be in your inbox directly, or you can go to our website, cyberhubpodcast.com. But the Cisco essentially does not connect back. The Cisco CML does not connect back to any Cisco maintained Salt servers, according to this. The full notice is posted, folks. You can actually take a look at it. This affects different organizations differently based on your infrastructure and architecture and so forth. So I don't want to get too into this, but the CVEs out there, the updates and patches are available. Don't waste any time. Get this done today. And I want to turn and wrap up today's practitioner brief with something that is a take-home lesson. For those who don't know, I also run a podcast called the CISO Talk Podcast. It's how this whole thing started, conversations with CISOs. As a CISO myself, I wanted to have practitioner conversations, why we did a practitioner brief, why we do CISO Talk, and so forth. So over the weekend, last week on Friday, in fact, Capital One was ordered to turn over their Mandiant forensics report to the class action lawsuit. So this has insane, this impacts every single organization in a breach forever. This ruling does. I'm sure Capital One will probably try to appeal this specific ruling, although so far I haven't seen anything to indicate that they will. The judge had given them 11 days to turn over their data breach incident report from the breach last year. However, a few things to note about this. One, Capital One engaged Mandiant without an attorney in the middle. And we always talk about lawyers, and I know a lot of CISOs, lawyers don't exactly mean solving problems for us. However, in this specific case, this could have been argued under privilege had the attorneys in Capital One engaged Mandiant and not the office of the CISO. So that may have eliminated this whole thing. That's unknown, but that's just a common practice at this point. I'm going to keep monitoring this, but I urge you all to sit down with your general counsel today, to sit down with your CIO and really look this over and examine this, and ask your general counsel or your outside counsel to really examine this ruling and see if working through an attorney would have made this document a privileged document, and as such wouldn't need to be publicly disclosed. We're now going to get to the bottom of the Capital One breach. So the silver lining to this is, beyond the headlines, beyond what was released from Capital One, we will now be able to look at their data breach report and really understand what happened in that breach. But as a practitioner, my heart goes out to Capital One on this specific case, because no one wants that report disclosed, at least not publicly, not for litigation purposes and so forth. And so a lot more. This ruling, by the way, came out of the U.S. District Court for the Eastern District of Virginia. And that's it for our practitioner brief today, folks. Tune in tomorrow for a lot more on this podcast, where we're going to talk more about Practitioner Brief. I am going to try to get an attorney on our CISO talk show to really talk about this Capital One breach. If you're watching and you're an attorney and you want to have this discussion, I'd love to have you on. Just go to our website, CyberHub Podcast, fill out the guest form. We'll get in touch with you. Until tomorrow, folks, enjoy the rest of your Monday. Enjoy summer. It's right around the corner. And until then, stay cyber safe.